All right, welcome to another episode of Fuck You Dad, everybody. Back this week. Guess is laughing at the name. It's a banger name, dude. It's an
Yeah,
awesome
yeah.
name.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it.
we're here with for a very funny comic from New York, Harrison Tweed. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm good, dude. I was telling you guys earlier, I was just playing basketball, so my body is aching. But yeah,
It's a
and
weird
Nick
flex.
is
I know.
is hungover.
Oh God,
Yeah,
violently hungover would
Oh,
be the
nice.
adjective,
well,
dude. It's
that's just standard Nick. That's just been like, yeah, Nick's here,
I
therefore
think
he's
that's
hungover.
I think honestly, that's how Sunday was created. Like church, God, whatever. But I think people went so hard on one particular day of the week that they're like, we need a day where people just fucking
Yeah,
sit down, you know.
yeah, totally.
But I had
It's
one of those hangovers where I was like, I wouldn't mind. It was like 6 a.m. I'd been drinking till like 4 a.m. And I was like, I wouldn't mind if I died. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't really mind it if you just took me out right now. I was so
yeah,
miserable.
dude.
It's
I
pretty
don't.
dark to the beginning. Someone just like going to the gym, like, I love this podcast. So the co-host is like, you ever have one of those hangovers where you wish you were dead? People are like,
Yeah, yeah.
probably not. No, I have a wife and kids at home. I just go. I
My
know
my
exactly what you're talking about, though. I've had those on Sunday. Like I've been sick this last weekend. I was like, when was the last time I was sick? And I'm like, pretty much every weekend after I, have almost alcohol poisoning. That's
yeah.
the only time I feel close to sick is when it's my fault.
No, I understand. It's funny. I feel like dying quite a lot, but it's never like it's never like I actually want to or would, but I definitely I'm like, God, it's so like God, just the things you wouldn't have to worry about. Like
It'd
That's
be nice to
that's
take like it's like
exactly.
when we're talking about taking a vacation, but we're just so dark and depressed. We're like dying's kind of the only way.
yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
people
yeah.
are like, it'd be nice to just like peace out and not worry about it. It's like, yeah, that's what a vacation is.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, but like that, but just in the darkness.
It's funny because I was thinking about that when I was working in New York, my day job was walking dogs, which isn't a hard job,
Mm-mm.
but it is like I was doing 8 p.m. to probably 4:30 or 5 or 8 a.m., excuse me. And
That whole industry is propped up by like starving artists. It's
oh,
crazy.
totally. And it's crazy, but I I developed like bad like feet. Like I got these like plantar fasciitis because I was just walking like 20 miles a day and then getting on the subway and doing sets all night. And then I would like get like no sleep because stand up, goes into the and you want
Yeah.
to also have fun. So you're gonna like hang out with the comics after. So you might not get home till like 1. And I remember just being like, dude, I'm working legit 50-hour work weeks as an employee and then doing stand up, which I mean, we just don't get paid for that shit at
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
No, I
especially
know.
in New York. There's just no pay. And I remember just thinking, so then I was on unemployment for a while, and my girlfriend was like, don't you like miss working? And I'm like, no, I'm glad the government is paying, like the government is paying me the minimum that they can pay me, and it's more than the money I made when I was
When
working
I was
50
working.
hours a week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, fuck them. I have no I don't feel unethical doing this. I feel like very validated in the fact
Yeah.
that I'm like, no, you treat us like shit, so you pay us now.
Yeah, no.
Like I felt like totally
That's
comfortable.
the free market. That's what I hate when people are like, well, they're getting $300 a week and they don't want to work at fucking Bubba's like shrimp shack or whatever and have someone spit on their face because they brought them the wrong salad. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
why would you do that? I could sit home and make no money, or I
Yeah.
could go be demeaned, sweaty, and be covered in ranch at the end of my shift for no
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
well, I'm
yeah.
fucked either way. I'm
Well,
gonna
did
sit
you
and watch Netflix and be fucked, as opposed to going with a name tag and being fucked, and then getting home and being like, oh, that sucked. Oh, and I'm broke. You know, it's
The
like
name
every
the
single
Yeah,
fucking.
nothing's good about it.
That's every
Yeah.
single like hourly job. Where you just get home and you're like, oh, and my life sucks. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Did you see someone tweeted this where it was like, don't like this country, then leave it. Like having a bad marriage, divorce your wife. Or like, and then it just kept listing things, and it was just like, you hate your roommates, don't pay rent. And then it was just like all these things was like the same logic. And it was just like, you sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Here's the thing. I was just talking to Kenyon. Did you meet Quan Wiggins when he was in town?
I met him before, but yeah.
You'd met him before, but you weren't on that show Friday.
I was, no.
Okay. So I was talking to him and we were talking about like universal basic income. And because like Durham might be getting that, like might be
moving back to Durham, I guess.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm staying with my mom right now as part of the tour, but think the pod's moving to Durham. That's happening. I'll tell you right now.
Have you heard the thing about like unemployment? Like they're gonna like they're threatening to ask for it back or something like that.
I haven't heard that, but that would be insane.
Bankrupt.
Everybody.
I think that honestly is that
I would storm the Capitol for that.
The cities would be in flames if everyone was broke as shit, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna need that all back," and we're like, "We're gonna need you to leave your house."
Yeah, why don't you just ask Jeff Bezos for like 2% of his income?
Yeah,
like,
as they're all flying into having space orgies above us, and they're like shaking down a single mom for $300.
God, I fucking hate ugly people with money so much. They're just ruining everything.
That's what you have to do when you're ugly, though. You have to make billions and then have an orgy in space.
Or you could be one of those cool guys that like sits on his porch and smokes a pipe and is like nice to people. Have you ever met those?
That's true. Those
you
are
could
cool.
Be ugly and be the shit and not be a fucking
That's what I'm out here
gross
doing.
billionaire. Yeah. Dude, fuck these people. Yeah. Oh fuck. I was gonna. Anyway, I could. But we were talking about UBI, and then he was like, I think that he was like, it could stifle innovation, and I was like, there's no like you.
Well, you take bigger risks if you have money.
Yeah. Also, yeah, and if you want to innovate, you can innovate if you can't even pay your rent. So like, it's supposed to be for people to not have to fight, like focus all their energy on making enough to live.
Right. Absolutely.
Like the idea is like you'd have this taken care of so you could advance your life. And maybe like you go to school, you do like work on a project that's like innovative and stuff. And I was like, also like, isn't Elon Musk like a Rockefeller or some shit? Like he's like one of them. He like inherited so much money, and then he like makes spaceships. It's like, so you can be fucking
all you have to do is have your dad own a gem mine in apartheid, and your dreams become true. All you have to do is have your dad be a literal supervillain.
Yeah. So it's just
innovate.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want, bro.
And then also like, what is like, I know she's like in the news for like being like super, it's so weird that like J.K. Rowling is transphobic out of nowhere. She's just like this sweetheart woman to everyone's knowledge. Like, oh, you like made an entire world that a generation embraced. Right. And it's like, boom, I hate men that become women. Yeah. And everyone's like,
she has like the imagination for all that, but she's like, not for that.
Yeah.
I can't, my creativity can't go there, buddy.
Goblins, ghouls, wraiths, but men, women, that's it.
You can't do it. Also, it's funny because she will like tweet things about Harry Potter now that are just like she'll be like, by the way, Dementors are supposed to be a metaphor for Italians, and people are like,
are you serious?
That's the coolest thing to do with a book, though. If you have a smash hit, you just wait 10 years and then drop really bizarre, like you just take 2 bottles of wine and you just start dropping weird, like, I was really a genius. This was a metaphor for World War II.
Yeah. You don't know how deep this shit went, man.
Yeah, Albus is actually Hitler.
Yeah. Did you? But she was like, he was gay, and it was like, you made no mention of that. Like, why
you can't just declare that fictional characters are a thing just because you made them up. That you didn't do that in the whole thing.
No, I know. If you want to reboot Harry Potter,
if you want to have like a whole movie where he's gay,
they should. Like,
I'm sure it's been done.
Well, I did a for my while I was beginning COVID and we weren't able to do stand up. I was like, I'll take sketch writing classes, and so I started taking sketch writing classes. And one of the ones I wrote was it was called "Call Me by He Who Shall Not Be Named," and it was like a kind of like parody on Harry Potter and Call Me by Your Name. But it was like, did you read the first book?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know the guy, Quirrell, who has Voldemort on his head?
On his head, yeah, I don't remember his name.
It's like them having a love affair while he's on his head. Like, and it's just like...
That's pretty great. I used to have this old joke that that was like this is when I was like a couple months into comedy, and I was just talking about like being horny or whatever, and I was like, I'm so horny. My dick talks to me like Voldemort on that guy's head, and then I would get like really creepy, and I'd go, show me the boy, and it always bombed and made people feel really uncomfortable. But
as it should. I think the setup was there. The show me the boy was a little. Show me the boy.
That is a line from the movie.
I know. Listen, I know. But as a sexually frustrated young man, I think that people have probably hit a little too well.
Also, it's just kind of one of those things where when you're new to stand up, you like throw away like, oh, they hate it. But a lot of it is also probably like you are probably being very nervous when you told them.
Oh, for sure.
Also, like you didn't have like as much stage presence back then. Like there was like whereas like I just started doing a joke that I guess I wrote like in my first 2 years in stand up that I was like, I like this joke, but I feel like it's like weird. And then I just like switched a word and just do it now that I'm like feel like very comfortable and confident.
I do love when that happens.
And it does great now.
Recently, and it's like,
yeah,
that's way better than actually me trying to write brand new stuff is going back to all this old stuff, because that's all like just coming out of Nik natural. It's just all the beginning stuff that you just want to say, which is always the best stuff, I think.
I think you're right. Dude, Kenyon,
where did you I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where did you Harrison, where did you start stand up?
Syracuse, New York, but that was like one of those things where I was in college and I would go to like an open mic every once in a while, maybe. Kind of like, you know, like it's like it taught me what it was. Like, and it's like, this is what you'll expect. It's gonna suck ass.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New York after college to like kind of follow a relationship with someone who I was dating who was from New York. And then we broke up like a month into me being there. It was bad.
I've done that, but I've had that. That's how I got to Chicago.
Yeah, it's trauma is a tough way to start stand-up, but it will push you there.
Absolutely.
And then I kind of took like 2 years away. Like I didn't really even start my career because I wasn't confident. I felt very angry. So I was like, and I'm not a really angry comedian. And I knew like, it's kind of like, I don't want to just be like open micing, bombing resentment, you know? So
good for you for I was gonna say good for you for acknowledging that and being like, no, I'm gonna wait a little bit and not terrorize these people, because
I just
a lot of people don't have that foresight. They just go up there and be like, I hate her. She's never coming back, and I hate her.
Sam Kinison made that a career, buddy. So
I know.
Sometimes it fucking works. Sometimes the genius works. So
I fucking. What do you guys think of Kinison? I hate him. I don't know.
He's one of Kenyon's heroes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hate that dude.
I think his special after the breakup hits very well.
Wait, what's his that's what the special's called, After the Breakup?
No, I think after any sort of breakup, his only like good hour special hits very well. And some of it's dated or whatever. I think he was the first person that actually was like the first angry comedian. And you kind of have to respect him for that at some point.
Okay, that is cool. And I do like angry.
Yeah, like that, like some like it kind of nobody was like his Conan set. He went up to a guy and he said, "Are you married?" And then just had a insane psychotic yell and was like, "This is the face of marriage right fucking here in 1980." That's fucking wild.
Very fucking,
you know what I mean? When everyone back then's like, "So I saw a car run over," you know what I mean? Like, where he was like the first person to kind of explode that. He's an insane person and very bad in his personal life.
No. The reason I think you know what? You're right. I also need all like the lesson usually, and I feel like this applies itself to like Dane Cook. The only person it doesn't apply to is Carlos Mencia, because he was just stealing material.
Yeah.
But there's an undeniability among anyone who gets grossly famous at stand-up. Once they are grossly famous, that's when they can start to be really trash. And that's I guess what I don't like about Kinison is that he was like such a shithead. And
he was an awful human being.
Awful human being.
Yeah.
But also kind of like this, like became a caricature of himself. And it was
he like died when he was alive. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I've seen sets of his. I think maybe it's this Carson or whatever you were talking about. The one where he was like, it's like the photographer, like these children need your help, and it's like, well, you're right fucking there.
Right,
Like
yeah,
that's like
that's
the bit.
right.
That's a great fucking bit. And it was like, oh yeah, this is really good. But then kind of like
Yeah, he's in
anytime,
leather, like screaming. He had a show. There's a documentary. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. With like,
Yeah.
well, think about his comedy. It was this timeless. It'll last for generations. And then it cuts to a TV show that he had where he was just with the girl. He's like calling his ex. He's like, "You fucking bitch! You
He's
stupid fuck!" And he's
on
just
the
screaming
phone.
at this woman. And they were like, "He's a genius." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no, he was just sort of an insane sex."
Harassment.
Yeah. He was just sort of a psychotic man.
Well,
But
that's what you know, like Stanhope's one of those guys that like checks himself. Like his whole career is him checking himself, even though he's a genius. So he's like, I'm really good. Every comedian essentially agrees I'm like a Rushmore level type comedian. And then, but like, I'm gonna live in this small fucking weird artsy town. I'm gonna just like kind of not engross myself in any of the showbiz elements of stand up. Whereas like Kinison is like, yeah, I'm edgy. Like, and he was crazy, but he's also kind of like a complete, he believed his own hype in a way that I feel like ruined.
yeah, he was also doing almost
Copious
lethal
amounts of
amount of cocaine.
Yeah.
So I
The
think that added to.
cocaine. Good
I
old
can't believe he
Yeah.
didn't die of an OD. The fact that he died.
No, he died in a car accident.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
died.
That was
So it was pretty wild.
that improv doc when they talk about the way he died. Did you see that documentary?
Yeah, for sure.
Or not
No,
the improv. I'm sorry, the Comedy Store.
No, it was pretty crazy.
That would give me like chills. That was
Yeah, man.
really, really scary.
But you said you grew up in Durham?
Yeah, I grew up in Durham. I love Durham. I think Durham is the shit.
And now you're back. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm back. I mean, now it's weird because it's like all these high rises are going.
No, it's very the gentrification force is heavy.
Yeah.
Is that the army is here and they're just out. I mean,
So,
you see fucking shit going on.
Connecticut has moved to Durham, basically.
You ended up graduating high school and going to Syracuse, right? So
Yeah.
were you like what kind of kid were you? Were you getting into trouble? Were you a rapscallion?
No, I was very shy. I was when I got put on Ritalin when I was 7. And so, which is way too
I've
early
taken
to tell
Ritalin
if someone
before.
can't concentrate.
Yeah, that's crazy. A 7-year-old is like, yeah, I play with Legos. That's what I don't get it.
No, it's like, yeah, I'd be bored by school because school sucks.
Yeah.
That's what you should do when you're in school, be bored by it.
Yeah, and it doesn't help. Ritalin doesn't help. It just makes you focus on something. So it doesn't need to be what they're teaching you. It can just be like a drawing you're drawing. You're like, oh my god, I'm like fucking on fire with it. and so I was really really shy. I think specifically because I was on a completely numbing medication.
Absolutely. You're on a totally different level. It's like when you're at a party and you're on shrooms and nobody else is. You're like on a different plane than other people. You're like, you got to check out this drawing.
Yeah.
And the people are like, oh my God, that guy is crazy.
Totally.
You're like rubbing your gums and stuff. And you're like, no, the dragon looks really cool. Check out the shading.
And I was really skinny because I didn't eat I didn't eat outside of like breakfast and dinner because it completely takes away your appetite. So it's just like I just did not eat lunch ever. And
it's great that that's just like a pretty commonplace thing when it's just an abhorrent medical practice.
Yeah.
So I didn't eat. I was essentially a crackhead when I was 8 years old. Kind of ruined my entire childhood. And also, that was like 1 out of every 4 kids I knew. Like in high school, if you wanted Adderall, you would just find it in the streets. You didn't even need to ask anybody. You just like put your hand out and it just fell. It was like everyone. It was like vitamins. Everyone had one. Everyone, like literally, if you were just sort of like, I'm mildly sad and not enthusiastic about algebra. They're like, why aren't you on copious amounts of speed?
Yeah.
You know how everyone shits on Garden State? Like people are like now they trash.
I've actually never seen it.
You should watch it. Okay, it's like one of those movies. It's like a weird art house movie that Zach Braff made, and it won a bunch of shit at Sundance, and it has like a really epically good soundtrack. Like the soundtrack is like very famously good, and it's like kind of like a punchline now because it's just like this weird sad white boy movie. But I will say, it like really spoke to me because the whole thing is that he's been on like these antidepressants since he was a really little kid, and then he just stops taking them, and then he realizes he was like, oh, I've just been unhappy and like zonked for my whole life, and now like I'm kind of experiencing life now that I'm off of them. And I remember I watched that freshman year of college and being like, oh fuck, like this just feels like what my life has been. And then I just completely stopped taking them, and my life got so much. I was like, oh, I didn't realize what a happy person I am underneath meth.
Yeah. I'm a real go-getter. Actually, once I stopped taking the go-getter drug,
yeah, and it's like, and that's like I had no idea what I wanted to do until after I got off that shit. And it was like I got off that, and I was gonna say something that's illegal that I did.
You flushed them down the toilet, right?
Yeah, it was just that, and then
got off that, and then I just had a lot more money. Yeah, and then I did.
It was like I opened the top. I was like, what? Why is there?
I used to take
I used
Ritalin
to upcharge
and
so much, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course. I used to take Ritalin.
This dumb rich girl that I hated, and she was like, "Do you have any Ritalin?"
That
like,
yes.
Yeah,
oh, that's
for 5 pills.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, but it was yeah. Well, no, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I took that stuff when I was waiting tables, and
really?
it did the opposite for me because I was like I'd never taken it as a kid, so taking it as an adult, it made me again you get super focused, but I would just like love chit chat with strangers. I would just get
different as an adult. Was it Ritalin or was it
You shouldn't have a car. The hard drugs are different when you're a kid. It's almost like you're not supposed to be taking them when you're a child. It is different when you're 7 years old and just taking medical grade meth. It does. You don't appreciate it. That's the problem. You get wasted on the young.
Don't do it. Okay. College heroin. That's it. Yeah.
So how did your parents feel? Did they know you felt this way?
My dad is dead. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
My mom. It was one of those things where here, let me readjust my headset 1 second. My hair's getting in my eyes. It was one of those things where it's like also much like Garden State, me and my mother just do not communicate well. Like there's things she's such an intense, like I don't want to call her a perfectionist, but she scrutinizes at the drop of a hat. Like she's been kicked out of a Hertz rental car place. Like she gets so mad about the most minute detail. Like she's like, I told them I didn't want like an American brand car, and then she was like, it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. We're driving this car 8 hours, and then we're never seeing it again. I'm
picking up a little Karen vibe.
I would say a Karen that isn't racist.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's racist. Karen, she's she's like about to be 70, and she's like aggressively liberal, and she's aggressively like pro Black Lives Matter and all these things, but she will still always say dated shit. Old people just say the wrong shit all the time. Like we say the wrong shit now, and we don't even know it till 20 years later. And it's like, by the way, you were saying the wrong shit. And they're like, oh, fuck, I forgot. Like the fucking gender shit. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm so like, I think part of the pushback for the non-binary trans, is also just people that are too kind of like stupid to critically think about why this might hurt someone's feelings, but also it's like, God damn it, I don't know how to learn everything all at once, and so they get really mad,
or they just feel dumb. And when you make people feel dumb, they get a pointy stick, and they go, no. Like easy. You just gotta, you gotta learn to not give a shit about things. You know?
Well, it's like one of those things where it's like, I totally empathize with the party that is confused by like, oh fuck, I said dude and this person.
That's the hardest part for me, because that's just part of like, hey guys is just a thing that I've said my whole life. So
I know. Well, you know what? I love being Southern because y'all has been in my vernacular for so long.
Oh, there you go.
That never stuck with me.
Oh, really?
I grew up in North Carolina, and
are you from Apex, Cary? Where are you from?
He
I
he
grew up
grouped
there,
those two
yeah.
together. So Kenyon hesitated. I saw that you said Apex carry, and he goes, "Well, it's Apex, but it's not carry. It's not carry."
Carry
He
is
shits on carry
pretentious
so
Apex.
hard.
Yeah.
Is Apex also a rich?
Yeah, it is now. It just kind of used to
Okay.
be a middle of nowhere sort of town, but yeah,
Yeah,
they both are miserable, and I hope to never step foot there ever. If you're
But they
listening to the
also-
podcast, you live in Apex, turn the podcast off. That's how I feel about it.
Well,
That's how
also,
feel
I
about it.
will say, I think y'all came from. Okay, my mom always said it because she's from Florida, so she's always had it in her vernacular.
Yeah.
And then also, I guess it was really prevalent in Durham. Durham is a really also not only is it a southern because it is a kind of like it's a super progressive city for the South, obviously, but it's so I guess like a lot of the people that live in Durham are like people that work for the universities, and then they're like, but they might be from like New Jersey or so just like not from North Carolina. But like Durham is a super black city, and black folks use y'all all the time. So if you're going to high school with just like a bunch of black folks, you're gonna probably pick up y'all. So I feel like there's a lot of different reasons that y'all is.
Yeah, I wasn't fucking with y'all. I'm just saying it never
Oh,
felt
I
right
didn't
for
think you
me to
were.
say.
I didn't think
I
you
was
were.
just, and then anyone I heard say it was sort of like a redneck person. I was still being like, I still resented that my idiot moron dad moved from San Francisco to this town. So I was sort of like, I will not. I'm not from here, even though I grew up there. I was like, no, I'm not from here. I was like, I was a fetus somewhere else.
Well, don't you think there's okay? So I once saw on Twitter this woman was like, I won't even say y'all because that is the Confederate.
No, I think y'all. It's like a universal
Oh,
word.
no,
I'm just
I
saying
know.
why I didn't say it.
No, I know, but I was just like, that is like the most like liberal
That's
white
just
person that like never interacts with black people thing.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Like, y'all is not a Confederate.
Yeah,
it's like the Confederate. Yeah. Like that's why people have the flag. I just like y'all. Like this isn't about slavery. It's about y'all.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have this. We volunteered during the election, and we had these. We worked with this organization called Black Voters Matter, and it's a great organization. And on the front it says Black Voters Matter. I perfectly feel comfortable with that being on the front of the shirt, but on the back it says it's about us, and it feels like as a white person, it's like, yeah, we help Black voters matter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's weird.
All right, Harrison. Well, do you have anything you want to plug before we head out?
Oh, is it? I'm sorry, I didn't have a dad thing.
Oh, that's okay. No, I mean we can. If you want to finish up with something, we can always stick it in at the end.
I'll just say this. My dad would have been a better. I know this is a fuck you dad podcast, but I honestly think like my mom is always worried about my career. And like, don't do jokes about this. Don't do jokes about this. Like, I heard you do this joke about that. You don't do that joke. Whereas, like, I think my dad, who's like the kind of like artistic, chill, like kind of like sweet guy.
Yeah.
Also a mustache. I think he would have been a much better supporter of my comedy. Like, I would actually send him material or something like that.
Oh,
based on what I remember of him and based on everyone's descriptions of like how he was as like a person.
So
he would like the pod.
That is the sweetest thing that's ever been said on this podcast.
About a dad.
Yeah. No, it was pretty awesome.
Oh, but here I'll plug some stuff. If you are a stand-up fan, if you're a comedy nerd fan, check out me and Jeff McBride's podcast, Let's Talk About Sets. We went on a hiatus because of COVID, because we live in different cities, but we're about to start it back up. And we got some episodes coming out with like Ron and Hirschberg, and then we have we're gonna have like Steven Rogers on again. So that's gonna happen. And also you can check out my solo podcast, which is called The Sex Symbol Project. And that's a more new. Yeah, why are you laughing?
I like that name. Yeah, that's great.
It's a fun podcast. I had Roy Wood Jr. on.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I had a former porn star turned comedian named Kate Kennedy on there. It's been a fun podcast to do. And then also just please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because that's I like posting stand-up clips and stuff more than anything. That's the thing I want people to like and see the most.
Yeah.
So you can just find me on all social media at Tweedy Jokes. I'm not on TikTok. and you shouldn't be either. Get off of it.
Oops.
America. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, I know it's a very beneficial.
It's what we got to do.
It makes
It's
me
what we
want to
gotta
kill
do.
myself. It's just too much moonwalking, and like all.
I wish there was more moonwalking. I see no moonwalking. I see all this, all finger waving and hip shaking. I would love a nice moonwalk on there.
You know what? You're right. Moonwalking is like the pinnacle of TikTok.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be made for. But I'm gonna remind people, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because we're crushing it on there. But if you keep hammering those 5 stars, we will soar to the moon.
We're jumping up, God damn it.